I'm Tyler King alongside Nathan Crosby at the Centennial Regional Arena as we get set for Game 3 of the AJHL South Final between the Brooks Bandits and Okotoks Oilers. And boy, Nathan, I think we're all coming down from Game 2, the way that one ended. I don't think anybody saw that coming. The Okotoks Oilers were less than a minute away from taking a commanding 2-games-to-none lead in the series. And then all of a sudden, 2 goals in the span of 10 seconds. A Dennis Asana point shot gets tipped in by Mac Hancock. Jake Tice scores on a breakaway right off the center ice faceoff. And in very unusual fashion for the Oilers, according to our buddy Gino DePaoli, they hadn't blown a lead and lost when leading after 2 periods all season. And for the first time in 2018, they don't get a win. That said, there's still a lot of work to be done for the Bandits, but that comeback in Game 2 completely transformed the image of this series I think we all had.
Never seen anything like that at this level of hockey. Just a absolutely remarkable finish to that game. 2-0 Okotoks late in the third, and I think you and I were feeling the same way. It's like, okay, so we're going to head back to Brooks down 2-0. That's going to be a must-win game scenario on Monday night in Brooks. And then the script is completely flipped at the end there, and the Oilers run into penalty trouble, and the Bandits make them pay. And when the power play hasn't been exactly great through the playoffs, to see it come through when it needed to was huge. And Ryan Papuano talked about that to you before Game 2, about the fact that Okotoks was able to capitalize on their opportunities in Game 1 and Brooks wasn't. And the reverse happened in Game 2 with the Bandits able to come through at the end there. Dennis Asana, the captain, was terrific there in the final minutes, scoring a beautiful goal from the bottom of the right circle, top shelf. The puck actually was stuck in the top corner of the net. Then he takes the shot that Hancock tips in. And then what else can you say about Jake Tice? I mean, one of the hardest working Bandits night in and night out. And he just catches the Oilers sleeping and finishes them off in a game that I thought was going to go into overtime. It didn't, and it was a terrific ending for Bandit fans.
And the only reason that becomes possible is because I think Mitch Benson ends up having one of his best games of this postseason as well. After allowing 3 in the first game, his team trails early in Game 2, and yet he's able to shut the door in that third period. And we can't forget as well, for the second straight game, the Bandits were on 4 of the first 5 penalty kills, and this time around in Game 2, they go perfect on the PK, and you can't do that if your goaltender isn't among your best penalty killers. So I think for Mitch Benson, the question is, can that be repeated game after game? Because the Bandits are probably going to need that against an Okotoks offense that's going to come into Brooks tonight with quite the fire lit under them, I think.
Yeah, I think my eye will be on both goaltenders tonight. I mean, Benson doesn't make that save in the third period on Austin Wong, then that comeback just doesn't happen, because then it's 3-0 and it's too much of a steep climb for them. So Benson was sensational in Game 2. Game 3 tonight, the goaltender that I think everyone will have their eyes on is Riley Morris of the Okotoks Oilers. How does he and the rest of his team respond after having that game and having it ripped away in the last few minutes in the third period? It's going to be really interesting when you look that this Okotoks team had not lost since late December to Drumheller. Then they go on this incredible winning streak. It all comes to a halt, though, in Game 2. So that is going to be, it's not just Morris, it's the rest of the team. We forget, this is a very young Okotoks team that the Bandits are facing. How do they respond in these big playoff games with big crowds, big emotion swings? How are they going to respond here in Game 3? That is the question.
I think the other sub-question to that is, how do the Bandits respond too? Because they can't rest on any laurels, because they were very close to losing Game 2. And in both games of the series so far, they've trailed 1-0 and they've trailed 2-0. Now here at home, where we're going to have a real big crowd, especially for a Monday night, you want to get the crowd into it early. You don't want to repeat, obviously, of what happened the last time the Bandits played a home game, which was Game 5 against the Drumheller Dragons, and things did not go very well. The fans had to wait a while to get out of their seats. The Bandits, I think, are going to be looking for a very different start from Games 1 and 2, even though they didn't have bad starts. The games were back and forth, they were close, but I hate to put too much stock into the first goal, but if the Bandits can score it, that could be the breakthrough that allows them to seize control of this series. If Okotoks opens the scoring again, we may be looking at a carbon copy of the first 2 games, and that puts the Bandits on their heels down the stretch.
Yeah, well, you don't want to wait till the remaining 3 minutes of regulation to finally start scoring. As fun as that was in Game 2, I don't think our hearts could take that again. So definitely, the Bandits have to be ready to work tonight. This has been a grind, this series so far through the first 2 games, and I anticipate that for the next few games, especially the ones here in Brooks for the next 2 days. You got to be ready to work. Every line has to be contributing tonight. I really thought that Simon Boyko in Game 2, his first game of the series after sitting out Game 1, I thought he injected some creativity into that Martineau and Thompson line, so maybe we can keep our eye on them. And that top line with Hamry, Jean, and and Guerin, what they can do, maybe they can try and get on the score sheet early. That would be the key for Brooks, is can they start to get some goals earlier in the game rather than later?
One thing we do know, it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. We'll see who seizes control of the 2018 AJHL South Final tonight. The Bandits and Oilers getting set for Game 3 with puck drop at 7 o'clock.